Welcome to another dojo topic. Today we're going to be talking about waiting. Do you ever recognize when you're waiting? Like you're waiting for the next job, you're waiting for the kids to grow up, you're waiting for the kids to leave the house, you're waiting. We have this idea in the mind that waiting is real. If so, that might be why you've attracted today's video. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you and go over the topic that we discussed today in the dojo. And as always, you're welcome to join us live. If you're unable to join us live, I'm so happy that you found us here. Last week, our topic was about speaking words into existence, paying attention to the words we use, how they're impacting us. So if you were unable to join us live or haven't yet seen the video, I will put a link to that video at the end of this video. But as I mentioned, today we're talking about the waiting game. What is the waiting game? Let's think about that. I'll be happy when, right? And we really want to shift the energy today about the waiting game. Just stop waiting. And actually, I'm going to be talking about 5 shifts that you can make if you've noticed invitations for waiting. So, without further ado, stop and think about this. When we're little, and you still hear little kids say this, right? Young children, they say, "Oh, I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait to get taller." We even measure the kids right in the doorway sometimes, and we say, "Oh, today's your third birthday." We draw a line and they can watch their progress. So, at a very early age, we teach children, or we were taught, to pay attention to that waiting game, that life is about waiting, waiting to get taller, waiting to be able to drive a car. And when we're constantly in that waiting energy, what's happening to us? And it doesn't stop at childhood, right? We become adults and we're so used to that waiting pattern that we're just waiting to lose weight, waiting for love, waiting for clients, waiting for more money. Basically, we're waiting to live fully and happily. So what happens? We're convinced, the mind convinces us that happiness, peace, freedom, and fulfillment exists somewhere in the future. That's what this waiting game is all about. Time creates the illusion that we are separate from what we want. It convinces us that we must become something in order to be enough. But time is a construct of the mind. It only appears when you think about it. Consider this. Have you ever experienced an occasion where you are enjoying yourself so much that you said something like, "Oh my gosh, we were having so much fun that time just flew by"? That's because you weren't thinking about time while you were partying like purple. You were enjoying yourself. You were being. You weren't putting constraints on it. You weren't allowing the mind to say, "Oh, we have to wait to be happy." You were in the moment. And you don't have to figure anything out. You just have to stop postponing your life and allow effortless being. Maybe one takeaway that you could have from this is there is nowhere to arrive. The moment you've been waiting for has always been now. So today's conversation explores the how of this, how to stop playing the waiting game. How do we actually live from the understanding that there's nowhere to arrive? How do we move from an intellectual concept to a lived experience? Because many people can agree when they hear someone say, or they might even say it themselves, the moment you've been waiting for has always been now. But then they immediately return to waiting, waiting for clarity, confidence, healing, money, certainty, waiting for life to finally begin. So, what keeps the waiting game alive? And how do we step out of it? The first shift is to see what waiting actually is. And it's going to be different for everyone. Waiting appears to be something happening in time. But look closer. Waiting is not an event, it's a thought that says, this moment is not enough. Every form of waiting contains the same message. I'll be happy when. I'll feel safe when. I'll feel worthy when. I'll be free when. I'll be at peace when. The mind creates a future version of life and then compares the present moment against that future image, vision. The suffering isn't caused by the present, it's caused by arguing with the present. The second shift is to notice that later never arrives. Think about every future you've ever waited for. You were waiting to graduate, and then you graduated. Waiting to get married, and the wedding arrived. Waiting for a new job, the new job arrived. Yet every future eventually became now. Life never delivers itself as later. Life only arrives as this moment. Every destination you've ever reached was experienced as a now. The third shift is to stop looking for what's missing because the mind is trained to scan for lack. Now, if you want proof of this, let's just take this example. Here are the numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Take a minute and tell me which numbers are missing. Actually, there are no numbers missing. As I mentioned, the numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. But did you notice that your mind immediately wanted to fill in different numbers other than what's right here on the screen? This is often what we do about so many experiences. Because the mind is trained to scan for lack, and it's constantly scanning for what's wrong, what's missing, what still needs to happen. But awareness doesn't experience lack. Awareness simply experiences what is. Eliminating the waiting game isn't about finding something that isn't here. It's about no longer judging what is. Right now, ask yourself this question. Am I aware? See where that goes. You may even want to close your eyes and just concentrate on the backs of the eyelids and see how you drop into this sensation. You could also ask yourself, is life happening? Am I alive? The mind says something is missing from this moment, but awareness sees nothing missing. You could look at this image on the screen right now and say, oh my gosh, there are 5 on the left and 5 on the right. And so they either need to be smushed back together so that there's no gap, or we need to add 2 more people in the middle, or what if it's perfect just the way it is? You have the ability to pay attention, be conscious of, notice when you're receiving invitations for something missing. And if something is missing, are you also receiving invitations that you have to fill something in? It's like what I need is not here right now. I have to wait for it to happen. I have to wait until this manifests into the image that I'm holding in the mind. The fourth shift is to move from becoming to being. Because most people are living from becoming happier, becoming healthier, becoming more spiritual, becoming wealthier, becoming more successful. The entire self-improvement industry is built on the assumption that who you are right now in this moment is insufficient. Think about all those programs out there that are saying, we can make you feel this or be this or climb to the top of this. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to shift anything in life, but do it from being rather than becoming. And you'll notice a completely different energy. Because what if the deepest transformation isn't about becoming something else? What if it's remembering what you already are? Sovereignty begins when you stop asking, what do I need to become? And start asking, what am I in this moment? The fifth shift to remember is the challenge isn't understanding. The challenge is remembering. Because the mind forgets. It drifts back into someday, eventually, not yet, almost here. So this is your reminder that peace isn't later. Worthiness isn't later. Happiness isn't later. Life isn't later. The how is surprisingly simple. When you notice yourself waiting, pause, notice the invitation, then acknowledge there is impersonal, effortless awareness of an invitation for waiting. You don't have to put a name on it. You don't have to personalize it. You don't have to say waiting for more money, waiting for the love of my life. Wait, no. Keep it as general as possible. Because if it is an invitation that you want to decline, acknowledging it is sufficient. After you ask that question or make that statement, there is impersonal, effortless awareness of an invitation for waiting. Then ask, what is the benefit for accepting the invitation to wait? You could even pose the question, what is awareness aware of that would be a benefit to waiting? And then see what comes. And you'll know the difference. Is the answer coming from the mind or is the answer coming from infinite love? Because when you're feeling like, oh, I'm waiting for peace, I'm waiting for freedom, I'm waiting for worthiness, love, security, then see that clearly. Remember, no judging. Practice the art of non-judgment about anything that's happening, anything that's going on, anything that you're experiencing. And then whatever invitations you notice coming up, then see clearly. Is there a trace of that right now? Whatever your answer was, worthiness, love, security, the next question to ask is there a trace of that right now? Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because the moment you've been waiting for has never been in the future. It's only been hidden behind the invitation that it's not here yet. If every future is because of now, and if life only ever be experienced now, if life can only ever be experienced right now, then what exactly are you waiting for? And how often are you surrounding yourself with people who help remind you when you've forgotten that waiting is only an invitation and you can either accept it or decline it? That's really valuable right there if you stop and think. Who are the people in your life and what are they encouraging you to see clearly? Are they encouraging the forgetfulness or are they encouraging the remembrance? Because it can be so easy for us to forget, right? We humans, we just tend to forget. We'll learn something and we're like, oh my gosh, that is so wonderful. I'm so happy that I learned that. I'll never forget that. That is like the most amazing experience. And it doesn't even have to be something that you've learned like to increase your knowledge. It could be a vacation. Think about maybe a vacation that you went on and you had so much fun and you said, "Oh my gosh, this is the best time ever. We will never forget this." But then you do. And it's not because it wasn't valuable. It was because everything has a season. Everything shifts. Everything is continually moving. The only constant is awareness. So now that we've explored today's topic, let's create a bridge from the message to the doorway. The message can point, inspire, and remind, but only you can discover where the invitation is alive in your life. So let's begin with a few questions. The first question, what are you currently waiting for? If you're really into this topic today, if you're really giving it some consideration, take the time to make it count and ask yourself, what am I currently waiting for? Be specific. Is it a relationship, more money, better health, more confidence, peace? You don't have to write it down and do 5 pages of journaling. Just notice. Just notice. There's impersonal, effortless awareness of waiting for, and then your answer. And then the second question, what do you believe your answer to the first question will give you? This is where the conversation gets interesting because most people aren't waiting for the thing. They're waiting for what they believe the thing will provide, such as love, safety, freedom, worthiness, peace, relaxation. Then the third question you can ask yourself is, can you find even a trace of your answer to question number 2 here and now? Not the thing, the feeling, the quality, the experience. Can you notice it? Can you see it clearly right now? Look over this invitation. Your answer may reveal the invitation hidden inside the waiting. If you do the questions, if you go through the 3 questions, the answer to the invitation is right there. It will be right there. It will surface. It will make itself known. It will make itself visible. And that's the thing, right? We can't decline an invitation if we don't know what the invitation is. So allow yourself to be conscious of the invitation without personalizing it. Remember, that's so important. Instead of using words like I, me, my, mine, my headache, my checkbook, my health, my body, keep it impersonal. Because sometimes the very thing you're seeking is already present. It's just waiting to be noticed. It's just waiting for you to see clearly. I really appreciate you being here today. I really am happy that you showed up, you listened, and you opened up. And if you feel the pull to any of these, consider joining us live. We would love to have you for the live conversations because so much insight is opened up. Remember, At the dojo, we're just here to live happy, even when the life around us feels like it's so chaotic and or things don't make sense. Could you see yourself in that waiting game? Did you notice any particular area of your life that you've been putting on hold, that you haven't really been paying attention to, or that you've been kind of wondering, like, I don't know if this is ever going to happen? And I think that this topic is especially helpful for anyone, any self-realized individual, because a lot of times when self-realization happens, it can go in and out, right? Like kind of like a hide and seek. I thought I was self-realized, but I'm not sure. But this has happened. And then we think about all the things like, well, if I'm really self-realized, shouldn't this be happening and that be happening? Well, that's waiting. You're waiting for all of these things to happen that the mind is telling you, no, all of these things need to happen before you can be self-realized. But the thing is, we know we're already self-realized. And that's where prioritizing your own sovereignty will just be a reminder that you already are everything that is. If you want any kind of support with this, visit me at masteringyourbeliefs.com. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller, the one and only Life Sensei, saying ciao for now.